Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Nifty, and it is almost exactly 1 year since the release of multiplayer for Halo Infinite. It's more like 11 months. But with that being said, I've been playing Halo on and off for 17 plus years. I have 10 plus years of mouse and keyboard experience in first-person shooters, and I have over 750 hours in Halo Infinite on mouse and keyboard only. I'm making this video for a good baseline for like competitive mouse and keyboard settings. Now, you don't have to be playing competitive to use these settings, but if you want to up your Halo gameplay, your keybinds, you want to, mix it up a little bit, maybe learn some tips and tricks to improve your Halo gameplay, then you've come to the right place. All right, now that everybody's clicked off the video because there's only about 19 mouse and keyboard players left playing Halo Infinite, this is for the other 18 of you. In all seriousness, though, I would like to see the inputs get a little more balanced, and I would like to see mouse and keyboard start to do better for Halo. 343 Industries really let us down by marketing this game as a mouse and keyboard PC, game. Granted it's crossplay, but most games do a better job at a balanced input, in my opinion. I've played other games like Overwatch or Apex Legends or even Warzone and Call of Duty. Fortnite's a little iffy, but even Fortnite seems a little more fair. Anyways, I'm going to shut my pie hole and get right into the settings. I hope some of these help you guys in the future, and if you found anything useful, leave me a comment or maybe a cheeky sub. I'd appreciate it. We're pushing out Halo content on the regular over here. All right, going into the first category being keyboard and mouse, we're going to want to have inverted look, horizontal and vertical, the top two in this category, checked off, along with invert flight. You don't need those things, keep them checked off. Hold to crouch. Now this one's important for two reasons. The first one being this is gonna help you achieve certain jumps. Being able to toggle the crouch while in mid-air helps pick up the knees. It actually physically will pick up the knees of your Spartan as you're jumping, and that's how you get those crouch jumps or skill jumps into spots where you normally wouldn't be able to reach it, but by picking up your knees, you're able to make that, super tall vertical jump. Now the second reason, which is kind of phased out in Halo's competitive gameplay, would be for the Gandhi hop. If you don't know what the Gandhi hop is, it is a gameplay jump mechanic that was developed in Halo 3 by, I believe, Gandhi, the professional Halo 3 player, hence the name Gandhi hopping. What it would do is when you spam crouch in the air, when you have hold the crouch on as an option, it would manipulate your hitbox, so your hitbox would actually move up and down ever so slightly in the older games. The point of that was to make it harder to land headshots when you were trying to flee from battle or engagements. Gandhi hop's really not that prevalent in Halo Infinite anymore because it's been phased out with more of like a crouch strafe, if you will. I would put more practice into crouch strafing and not worry so much about a Gandhi hop. This game has so much bullet magnetism and aim assist that I don't care how fast you crouch in the air, it's never gonna help you. Hold to zoom. Now this is gonna be the first personal preference setting, I would say. Now, me personally, in my first-person shooters, I am used to holding to zoom, something that I like to do. Gauge that on your own gameplay. Hold to sprint, I personally keep that one on. Again, I suppose that comes down to personal preference. Some of these movement and aiming settings will come down to that. Maintain sprint, again, another one of these settings. Play with it a little bit. I do think if you have it toggled on, that means you have to be pressing it for it to go. You can't just hit it once and you will auto sprint. I personally like that because if it's easier on your hands, right? If you have like an auto run, so you hit one button and you're running. But when you're talking to those engagements where you want to move fast, slow, fast, slow, fast, slow, really close quarters, a lot of speed, a lot of stuff happening, I think you have more control over your movement when you have that option, but to each their own. Again, it's kind of an option thing. Same with maintaining sprint. Now, auto clamber, this one is huge. If you still have auto clamber on, you need to do yourself a favor and turn it off. Now, what this is doing during your gunfights is whenever you're jumping or near the height of a ledge, the game will auto clamber to that ledge. So say you're jumping next to a staircase, say like see stairs on streets, right? If you jump in your turn or your Spartan's looking at a certain angle, or you're shooting up into C stairs, right? You could be pulling the trigger and the game is gonna auto clamber, making you miss your shot and lose that gunfight. Now, I've had it happen to me in a handful of situations around a handful of different ledges and railings and stuff in the multiplayer maps. So personally, this one's huge. Gotta do it. Step jump. Now, honestly, you're gonna want to turn this one on because it helps you get to the lower ledges. I think it just gives you a better control of your reduced jump height. Movement assisted steering. Now, personally, I don't like any sensitivity scaling. I like a 1-to-1, but my mouse sensitivity is a 2.2. If you guys want, you can go ahead and try my mouse sensitivity, but what I recommend is actually finding your mouse sensitivity the proper way. Now, when I say that, I genuinely think the best way of finding your sensitivity is by going into the game that you are playing, because every game is different, and practicing your tracking on a stationary object. Zoom sensitivity, not really sure if this matters. Well, I mean, if you're zoomed in, this will change, but again, just a 1.0, like, we're nothing fancy. I'm pretty sure this is stock setting right here. Mouse acceleration, I suppose that is a personal preference, but if you want consistent aim and to be able to do like 360s and such, I would turn it off. Now this one is huge. We're moving over into video. That's pretty much all the keybinds and gameplay settings, but that's not everything that's going to give you a competitive advantage in Halo Infinite, so stick around. But in the display menu, the first thing you're going to want to do is try to increase your field of view. If you have not played with your field of view or you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm about to open your third eye so you can stop being like a rat in a tube. The amount of tunnel vision that you will have in Halo on stock settings is unreal. I personally play at the widest field of view. And what does that mean? That means I can see everything to each side of me as much as possible, so I'm never blindsided. So when something's behind me, it's truly behind me. Now, personally, I do a borderless full screen. I believe this will give you the highest frame rate, but if you're trying to optimize your game for frame rate, there's a lot of different things you can do as far as UI, video, and drivers and gameplay optimization. But maybe not the video for that, but I'm kind of getting into it anyways because of a lot of these things really matter to improving your Halo gameplay. I play it at 1920 by 1080. A lot of people will try scaling it down to achieve a higher frame rate. Again, not the video for that. I'm just kind of giving you a rundown of what I do. A minimum of 120 FPS because I don't want the game to think that I want it to dip harder than that. For some reason, this FPS game is very weird. We still don't have ray tracing, I'm pretty sure. I find that I get a more consistent or a higher FPS value if I leave it at 120 minimum and then the maximum frame rate possible. I think Unlimited doesn't really, yeah, see, 240 or custom, we just do 240. This game doesn't even give you an unlimited option, not too sure why. VSync, keep that off. Limited interactive frame rate. Again, now these are my settings. I personally play on the lowest settings possible. One, because I stream and play all the time at the same time, and I don't want to burn a fucking hole through my GPU. And two, because this game is honestly, I believe, the prettiest game I have ever played on low graphics. No cap. Full stop. 343, if there's one thing I will never knock you for, it is the art direction and the fucking sound direction, or sound directors, you know, the sound and video of this game as a whole. Solid W's. You guys did amazing work. Now we're going to move over into the audio tab. Now, I personally was told that if you use the dynamic range compressed mode, sorry, I can't even talk or read apparently. Now this is your hardware. Now you can leave it stock, which I believe is your dynamic mode. Your louds are loud, your quiets are quiet. But if you use a compressed mode, for some reason, it's not like you're not gonna have your louds or your lows, but everything is a little more evenly tuned. I find that you hear the lows a lot easier this way, so you won't get snuck up on, or you will more potentially hear like an enemy footstep behind you. So moving over into gameplay. Now I know you're like, how can there even be any more settings that are going to help me competitively? Well, let me show you. It's always important to try to keep your FPS counter and network statistics up. If you have any idea of what that information is telling you, then you can have a pretty good idea of how your game's actually playing versus how you are playing in the game. Now, I see a lot of people mess with their outlines and colors. I'm personally a fan of like the red versus blue setup with a, you know, classic yellow, but these are not the stock settings, and I do recommend going through your outlines and your UI colors and turning the outline opacity all the way up so you can see enemies more easily. That's just something that's going to help you competitively. All right, so now that I'm in game, I just wanted to show you real quick what these last settings are going to do for you. If you have not seen these already, this is gonna, again, probably blow your mind because these are some of the biggest things that have helped me as far as competitive Halo. Now, if you go down to weapon offsets, now the reason why I bring us in-game is because you can actually see where your gun is, even though it's kind of blacked out right now. I know it's hard to see, but bear with me right now. We're on rifle, which would mean the assault rifle in my hand, right? Now, if we bring the horizontal offset all the way to this side, you can see how this encompasses the center or more of your screen. Now, the reason why we have these offsets is because you can change the way your screen looks. Again, this matters with your field of view. That's why you can change this to whatever you like preference-wise, but I would recommend trying my settings. What I do is not a full tuck. Now, some people do this. You know, I have -19. If you see, I can go lower. You can bring the gun up a lot, or you can bring it down all the way, right? Now, a lot of people competitively are going to go fucking 100 to the right and 100 to the left, and then depth 100, because you're going to want your gun to the bottom right side of your screen as much as possible, especially when it comes to the rocket launcher, because this will open up your field of view and you will be able to see people on the right side of your screen. I think I'm going to change it up a little bit. We're going to try a -12. Again, you can play with these. That's the fun part about it. All right, guys, I hope some of these settings helped you out in your Halo Infinite gameplay endeavors. If you made it this far into the video, type 𝐿𝐴𝐴𝐴 in the comment section. And until next time, I hope a lot of these strategies, tips, and tricks really help you guys out. I'll be live over at twitch.tv/niftyNoob. Links can be found in the description. Peace.